Who do we have coming up next?
We have our friend Kent Grisham, who heads up the Nebraska Trucking Association, coming up. But very, very quickly, today is National Catalog Day, Mail Order Catalog Day. A lot of
Ooh.
folks say, "What's the first mail order catalog?" Montgomery Ward. Wrong. The Aldus Pius Manitus catalog. He, in 1498, put out the first catalog in Italy. So there you go.
Nicely done. Nicely done. We're going to tell Ken Grisham good morning. Dave, would you care to do the honors and the introduction?
Kent, good morning and welcome back. It's great to have you back.
It's great to be back, and I really appreciate the second opportunity. Second chances are a great thing.
Indeed, indeed. We asked Eric Teo from the Insurance Institute to tell us about his Labor Day plans. What about yourself?
Well, we will be at the Nebraska State Fair that opens later this
Fantastic.
week.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the Nebraska Trucking Association is a education partner with the State Fair. So we have a huge display with trucks and our truck driving simulator. We have a working Mac engine with a transmission attached to it and everything that people interested in diesel technology can come up and turn the key, and that big old monster starts up. And I tell you, we can say what we want about, lovely, quiet electric motors, but there is nothing that turns heads in a crowd like the sound of a diesel engine starting up.
Indeed, indeed. It kind of
We
trumps
have a
the
great time.
horn, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But let me
That
ask
we
you
don't.
one thing. Are you guys going to
Yeah,
have
go ahead.
pig races?
There are pig races.
Okay,
of
it's a
course.
state fair.
It's a state fair.
Fantastic.
And lots of fried food.
Oh, my goodness. Do you guys have the weird fried foods that Texas does?
Like the
Oh
Twinkies?
my goodness, yes, yeah. I mean, Texas does everything bigger than everybody, but I would venture to say, at least in terms of selection, we're right up there.
Fantastic. I did a little research about today's topic because when you were with us last week, we didn't get a chance to go into tort reform. So I found out the Chamber of Commerce put a very interesting piece out. They say that the beginnings of tort reform goes back to 1951 when pain and suffering awards start to really take off. There were several pioneering trial lawyers, and they dramatically increased pain and suffering awards. And then we go to 1991, and the U.S. Supreme Court was kind of worried about damages, punitive damages that are, quote, running wild. And the court says, and I'm quoting here, unlimited jury discretion or unlimited judicial discretion for that matter in the fixing of punitive damages may invite extreme results that jars one's constitutional sensibilities. So we go from there to 2018, the infamous Werner Transportation $100 million verdict. And then just a couple of months, in June of this year, after all those many years, we get the reversal on that. What does that reversal mean in terms? Is that a real landmark cornerstone for maybe getting, if nothing else, some clarity on this? How big of a deal is that overall?
Well, it is a very big deal, of course, in that state, in that court, and of course, it will always be used as legal reference. I'm no lawyer, but even in state courts, those kinds of things do have wide-reaching impact. But I think the thing that all of my friends in the state trucking associations need to remember, we must continue the effort at the state level in every state, because just because a great reversal happened at the Texas Supreme Court doesn't mean that there aren't, crazy laws allowing crazy verdicts, nuclear verdicts in any number of states. Thankfully, Nebraska has a little bit more control over itself than what some of these states do, but there's also a lack of a lot of things in Nebraska that would prevent those kind of nuclear verdicts, and we're very actively engaged in our legislature to try to change those. And we're going to keep up that fight until we get those changes in, because a great reversal at a Supreme Court level in Texas is not a good safeguard for the rest of the country.
Ah, yeah.
And by the way, that kind of goes back to the idea that people need to understand that this is what's so crucial. And this is part of we can go back to as a question about CARB and y'all's ongoing struggle with CARB over there. This is why people need to understand if, in fact, we view the states as laboratories of democracy. I say it that way. It's my Boris Karloff impersonation. But if, in fact, the states are laboratories of democracy, then it really, you guys understand that there's not going to be any national law passed anytime soon. This has to be a state-by-state battle where each state has to look at its own intended problems and figure out how to approach any attempt at reform through state houses, correct?
That is absolutely correct. And, it would be great if someday we would get our act together and say interstate commerce is such a critical element, an essential element of life, which, of course, we've had great examples of that from the pandemic and many natural disasters where the trucking community, it keeps moving. We keep rolling no matter what, and it's all done in an interstate commerce atmosphere. To us, that means that all of those kinds of liability questions, anything that has to do a motor vehicle accident, as tragic as they may be, and as much as we hate seeing them happen, those should be adjudicated at the federal level because they involve a vehicle that was operating in interstate commerce. Now that's a bigger lift even than state level tort reform, and that's why the states have got to continue to be engaged in it.
Yeah, the joke I would make is I'm not sure if you're familiar with who runs the Trial Lawyers Association, but I can assure you they aren't the Boy Scouts. That's a big, heavy lift at the federal level, which is why in some ways, it's so important for what I always tell these people, whatever your fight is, start it at the state level first, because literally you are Don Quixote if you're going to start a battle at the federal level. You have to show kind of nationwide support for what it is you're doing, and you do it one state at a time. Correct?
That is true. And I go back to what Dave said a minute ago, where he was reading the quote, constitutional sensibilities, was it? That seems to be even a moving target, and who would have ever guessed that? That seems like such a standard that we could all salute and stand up for, but I don't know that the constitutional sensibilities even exist anymore.
Yeah, well,
that's
another conversation.
Like that. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what is it? There seems to be a nationwide movement of I love the Constitution until it hurts me.
Kind of like the Bible.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I'm all in favor of this. Wait a minute. I got to do that too. Oh, never mind. You know what I'm saying? Isn't there a cafeteria version of this institution where I can go in and pick what I want and sit at my table privately and eat whatever the heck I want when I want? That's not okay. Yeah. I understand. I'm going to
change lanes here just for a moment. I can't. Next Wednesday, not 2 days from now, but on the 27th, you guys have a webinar entitled Nebraska Paid Sick Leave Webinar, presented by the Nebraska Trucking Association. You don't do a webinar unless there's a reason for it. What's cooking on that?
Yeah. Well, the Nebraska, of course, for those who don't know it, is a one-house legislature. So all kinds of interesting things happen when you have a one-house legislature. It's kind of more akin to, say, a city council and a mayor sometimes than it is a body of legislators and a governor. But when someone has an axe to grind or some kind of issue that they want to turn into a movement, we call our second house as a vote of the people, a petition drive. And so there was a petition drive and successful ballot measure that forced paid sick leave into being mandatory in Nebraska. And the original bill that was brought through the petition drive made it for every company, no matter how many employees, no matter what the makeup was. If you were an employer with more than one employee, you had to offer paid sick leave. The legislature and the governor did work on some revisions to that, but it does impact every company that has more than 10 employees. And of course, a lot of our motor carriers and allied service companies do have more than 10. And it does even include drivers who are paid by the mile. So it's a complicated formula, and it's something that has a lot of people concerned because it shifts also the burden of responsibility to the Department of Labor, and it creates a fine structure rather than someone being able to go in and sue their employer if they feel like they weren't adequately compensated for sick leave. Now they go to the Department of Labor and file a complaint, but there are potential fines in place for companies. So the purpose of our webinar is just to let motor carriers in particular be shown how to work through this process, how they have to calculate paid sick time for drivers who are paid by the mile, and some other issues like that.
Okay, I'm going to ask a question that I think I know the answer to, but I'm going to ask it anyway because we used to be independent contractors. There are so many independents and lease operators in trucking. Where do they fit into this, if at all?
It's our understanding that they do not.
Okay.
That independent contractors and leased-on drivers are still responsible for themselves.
Got it. Got it. You figured that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which, by the way, to make sure I'm really clear and to make sure our listeners are clear too, you've got non-employees. The moment you hire the 10th, it triggers it. Correct.
Correct.
The moment, and that's really what people need to understand is that this is this is why. We're not just talking about companies with 25, 30, 50 people. We're talking about the moment you flip over from 9 to 10, it applies to you instantly. In regard,
actually, from the moment you flip over from 10 to 11.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm sorry if I misstated that.
No, you didn't misstate it. I wanted to make sure we were clear on it. That's why we ask questions, because it's the kind of thing that people have to. People often make hiring decisions based on this. By the way, I mean
they do.
Yeah,
sure,
and that's important. That's an important kind of thing. And what I really like what you guys are doing is saying, look, there may be some stuff we have to talk about with the legislature, but it's important, I think, Dave, that it's like we're going to follow the law and help people understand what they have to do, as opposed to just being like, well, just ignore that, which is really important. Go ahead, Dave.
It sounds like you guys are going to have a wonderful time at the state fair. It sounds like you guys have a wonderful exhibit there that's going to get a lot of attention. But let me circle back to the food tents. What are you looking forward to that you'll never eat again for a year, but you're going to do it at the fair?
So here's the thing for me. I'm not a big hot dog kind of guy. The only corn dogs I eat are once a year at the state fair, and I still have to put a lot of mustard on it.
I'm right there with you, by the way.
Me
Don't
too.
give me a corn dog if you can't. If you can't, by the way, I'm like a once or twice a year corn dog kind of guy. But if I do have them, man, what I do though is I actually put mustard all over the top of it and then dip it in chili and then do a scoop on the chili.
Oh my goodness!
Worth thinking about.
I'm going to come up with a corn dog infused with chili. How's that?
Oh, now you see what you're talking about now, Dave. Now we're thinking about chili dogs and at 8:26 in the morning. Big thanks to you, Kent. Thanks for making the time to come back and join us, brother.
I really appreciate it and love what you guys are doing.
We're going to ask you back, but you can beat us to the punch. If anything comes up that you really want to get out there, please let us know. Claire Marie will get you scheduled in.
We'll do it. Thanks.
Thank you, man. Kent Grisham, by the way, made double duty last Monday, this Monday. We ran the clock out on him last time. We run the clock out on ourselves this time.